Come up here first. I want you to see something. From this height, I am tidy. A catchment, a boundary, a parcel of colored shapes with names on them. This is the height I have been governed from. Almost every decision ever made about me was made by someone looking at this. A map, in a room, far away. Now come down. Down here, I am not tidy. I am water finding its way. And down here, a question has been asked about me for a very long time. Whose voice governs this ground? There was a law here before there was a wig or a bench. People have kept fires on me since the ice. 21,000 years at the rock shelter in my south. And for hundreds of generations, their law moved the way my water moves. It was not written down. It was walked. Its paths crossed my whole body, down the gorge to the high country, and to the place where my Molonglo takes my Queanbeyan, a meeting ground long before it was a town. Their descendants say that law is kinship, that country is not what the law governs, but what the law is. I will not tell you what it held. That is not mine to say, and it is not yours. But know this much. That law has not ended. Now watch the order the second law arrives in. It is very revealing. 1837, a police magistrate is appointed to Queanbeyan. There is no Queanbeyan. The policeman comes first. 1838, a surveyor lays a square mile of grid on my river flat, straight streets scored onto curved ground. Then, in September, a proclamation from Sydney, a township. Population, 50. First the constable, then the map, then the town. The walked law grew out of the ground over 10,000 years. The written one arrived before its own people did. To be fair to the town, it learned to speak for itself. 1885, a municipality, its own elected council, its own aldermen. The railway came, then a century of minutes and rates and mayors, and in 1972, they called it a city. Real voices, real votes. But listen to where they could reach. The council governed the grid. The grid had already been decided. A local voice inside an imposed frame. Then the nation itself came looking for a home, and the maps came out again. 1904, they choose Dalgety, a town on the Snowy. New South Wales refuses. 1908, a new act. The capital will be here, on my plains. And now watch the pen. The first designs draw a horseshoe around my whole catchment, both my rivers, my town, all of it. One territory shaped like the water itself. New South Wales says no. It will not give up the town. So in 1910, a surveyor stands on Mount Coree and begins to walk a compromise into my body. Pegs, concrete, a border. They drew the line to keep my river's town on one side and wrote themselves a right to my river's water on the other. I am one catchment. From the chamber, they cut me in two. The water has never once honored it. 60 years later, that clause in an old act stood up and became a wall. 1974, a dam across my Queanbeyan, built on New South Wales soil, on land the Commonwealth acquired to hold water for the capital. Stand on that dam wall and tell me whose ground you are on. The soil is one state's. The works are the Commonwealth's. The water is the city's next door. The town kept its river's name. The river answers to the chamber. And you would think the chamber's own city, at least, would govern itself. No. The capital of a democracy had no member of its parliament until 1949. And for years after that, its one member could only vote on matters about the territory. No senators until 1975. No vote in the nation's referendums until 1977. And then, the finest entry in the whole ledger. 1978. The territory is asked if it wants self-government. Nearly 2 in 3 say no. 10 years later, it was given self-government anyway. Governed without votes for a lifetime. Then handed a government it had voted against. Even at the center, the decision came from somewhere else. If you think that pattern softened with time, here is May 2016. A minister in Sydney signs a proclamation. Queanbeyan's council, the one it elected for 131 years, is dissolved. Effect immediate. Both councils affected had said no. An administrator is appointed by the same signature. 131 years of the ballot ended by an announcement in an afternoon. For 40 years, this valley had one strange power. Whoever won this seat won the country. Election after election, the nation read its own mind in my vote. 2016, that ended too. The basin stopped agreeing to be the mirror. Perhaps it was tired of reflecting and wanted to be seen. Which brings me to the question underneath every other question here. For 20 years, the territory's protocol named one people as this country's custodians, the Ngunnawal. In 2022, Ngambri families went to the territory's own Supreme Court and asked to be recognized too. In April 2023, the territory settled and said sorry to the Ngambri for the hurt of not being named. Some Ngunnawal custodians objected to how that was done. Ngarigo country holds my southern edge. The naming of this ground is a living dispute, and I will not settle it. It is not this film's to settle. Hold what is actually happening here. The oldest laws in the world, asking the newest one to say their name. Native title over the capital was traded away in 2001 for a 99-year lease on a park. And in October 2023, the whole nation was asked whether the First Peoples should have a voice in its constitution. The nation said no. One jurisdiction in all of it said yes. This one. The line between yes and no runs down my body. It is the same line the surveyor walked. So come and sit by my water. There is something here I want to show you. A seat. Empty. In 200 years of proclamations, borders, referendums, mergers, and courts, every party at every table has been human. There has never once been a seat whose name was the ground. The walked law kept that seat for tens of thousands of years. The written law has never said it. I do not fill it tonight. The voices that could speak for me here, Ngunnawal, Ngambri, Ngarigo, have not yet been asked. And a seat filled without asking is just another proclamation. So the chair stays open. That is not an ending. It is an invitation. But answer me this, from whichever height you are watching. What would governance become if the living whole had a voice in it? My water is leaving now. It does this every day, under every flag that has ever claimed it. It crosses the surveyor's line without papers. It carries every verdict ever handed down on me. The grid, the border, the dam, the apology. Downstream, to a country that never voted on any of it. Every law here has told me what I am. Only one ever asked. Whose voice governs this ground? The seat is there, by the water, still open.